Dreamwalkers, wanderers of thought, if you have followed the patterns so far, you may have begun to notice something subtle. What begins as shared dreaming does not remain contained as a simple exchange of impressions. It evolves, it overlaps, it leaves traces. In moments where the shared layer became particularly dense, when multiple streams of thought converged without clear separation, certain patterns would persist beyond their origin. They were not thoughts in the usual sense, nor memories that could be traced back to a single mind. They behaved more like residues, impressions left behind when cognition did not fully resolve.
Analytically described, these are cognitive remnants that emerge when multiple streams of thought intersect without complete integration. They are not generated externally. They are not introduced as independent entities. They arise from the interaction of minds within a shared cognitive field. One may call them cognitive subshifts, or, if you prefer, network anomalies.
Yes, and while internally they could be described in technical terms, those who experienced them tended to interpret them in more immediate and intuitive ways. Shapes that did not belong to any single perspective. Movements that seemed to respond without a clear source of intent. Presences that appeared to follow attention rather than initiate it. Over time, a simple term began to circulate among those who encountered them: shadows.
Which indicates that they are not purely subjective.
In practice, it rarely arrives with any sense of spectacle. It does not announce itself as something foreign or dramatic. It slips in quietly, in the middle of ordinary moments where you would least think to question it. You are in conversation, something familiar and unremarkable, and then a response forms that feels just slightly sharper than you intended, just slightly out of character, as though it leaned forward before you had quite decided to speak. You hear yourself say it, you recognize the edge in it, and yet you let it continue, as if curiosity has briefly taken the lead over control.
These effects are consistent with temporary misalignment between overlapping cognitive states rather than external imposition. In technical terms, they represent unintegrated cognitive fragments that persist due to incomplete resolution across overlapping mental states.
So eventually, rather than avoiding these shadows, the approach shifted toward recognizing them, engaging with them, and restoring alignment through interaction. In fact, Dr. Etherstein and myself were part of the development of these little programs called Neuroforms. Care to elaborate, Doctor?
Repeated interaction allows for observation of patterns within the distortion. Over time, these patterns can be anticipated, counterbalanced, and integrated. From these observations, templates were formed. Not imposed externally, but designed to be adopted through alignment within the shared layer itself. These templates are referred to as neuroforms.
Think of them as stabilizing patterns of cognition that can engage with unresolved fragments without being destabilized by them. Where shadows represent unresolved expression, neuroforms represent structured coherence.
Their function is not to suppress shadows, but to interact with them in a way that restores balance within the shared field and within the individual themselves.
When a shadow is successfully brought into alignment with a neuroform, the interaction does not erase the fragment, it resolves it. And in that resolution, the cognitive system may adopt new configurations, patterns of perception or response that were not previously accessible. It can be something almost unremarkable at first glance. The same person who once reacted too quickly may find that the pause arrives before the reaction, or someone who avoided conflict entirely may discover the ability to speak with clarity, not aggression, but a certain quiet authority that was not available to them before. In other cases, perception itself shifts, which is perhaps the most curious part, because what appears as a new ability may in fact be a recovered one, a pattern that could not stabilize before, now able to hold its shape within the system. And as the interface evolved, something else began to change. The experience itself became more accommodating. What began as an attempt to observe Wyrdspace became an effort to navigate it. What began as a way to detect shadows became a way to interact with them. And what began as passive study became active participation. Which is, of course, why we made a game out of it.